Assalamu alaikum everyone. So today inshallah we're going to be taking the al, which is the defining article al, and sometimes the al, which is exactly what you see here, you've got the al right there before the noun, and another al right there before the noun. Now here's the thing, is that not always is it supposed to be pronounced. There are times where it is not pronounced. That is the lam in the word al, and you are to connect the a with the following letter. And at other times, you're going to connect it with the al, where you're going to say al-qamar, as an example, versus ash-shams. You're taking out the al, and the al becomes silent, and that is determined based on the letters that are after the al. So you're going to look at it as where what's after the al. The letter that's after the al, the letter that's after the al, so al plus that new letter, that letter that you're going to do is going to be the one that's going to determine what we're going to do with it. So that would be an al plus what letter? So now you're going to look at what letter. If the letter that is instead of the question mark is one of these letters, then it would be a clear al, just as you do al-qamar. So al-ba, al-gha, and we will see it in just a bit. Yet on the other hand, if you have al and then you had it was followed by a letter that comes from these letters, then the L sound is going to be emitted, and you're going to say it atta, atha, asa, arra, or atta, abba, etc. We're going to see that, we're going to see those in example and actually see how we're going to apply that. So here we go. Let's see what we're looking at. So we've got 28 letters, and out of these 28 letters, you have 14 letters that are going to take a clear L sound, and you've got 14 other letters that are going to take that L silent sound when you're doing it. So out of the 28 letters, let's see which 14 letters are going to be taking those letters. Well, let's see. One thing is that right here you've got a, b, ri, ha, ja, ka, wa, kha, aqimah. Now here, this is just part of a poem in where it just means you're going to go straight to your aim and don't fear failure. All right, but regardless of what it means, just remember abri hajaka wa khaf aqima. If you know this one, then you don't have to worry about memorizing any poem for that one, because at least you would have the al-qamar. If it's not in here, then it's going to be in here. If it's not in here, then it's going to be in here. So at least memorize one of them in order to know the other. All right, so let's move on. You've got this. These are the 28 letters. Out of those letters, you've got some of them that will be taking that sound. So if we could just quickly add, the a will take what? That ba, and let's see right here, a, b. So here's a, ab, ri, and where's the ri? Ri, and ha, and ja, and abri, hajaka.
That's fair.
Okay, here's the ka, ka, wa, and kha, and fa, and a, and qa, ya, mim, and ha. Okay, abri. All the other letters are going to be the letters that will not be taking that L sound clearly, but it will actually be omitted. So now we're going to see the other parts and actually see, well, so in practice, what does it look like? So let's see the L with the ones al-qamar, where, just an example, al-asnan, al-jazar, al-alam, al-qalam, الهاتف البرتقال الحصان الغزال الكتاب الورود الخروف الفاتحة المصحف اليد. Well, let's see in practice right here. Got all those L's together. Al-a, al-i, al-u. You see that? Al-a, al-i, al-u. They made it for you in black so you could see where it differs. Al-ba, al-bi, al-bu. Al-ja, al-ji, al-ju. Al-ha, al-hi, al-hu. Al-kha, al-khi, al-khu. Al-a, al-i, al-u. الغاء الغي الغو الفاء الفي الفو القاء القي القو الكاء الكي الكو الماء المي المو الواء الوي الوو الهاء الهي الهو الياء and al-u. So then demonstrated for you qamar and put the al before the word qamar, which means moon, and it becomes al-qamar. And the good news is that in the Quran they'll actually indicate that al is actually a clear l and not a silent sound by putting a sukoon on top. Let's see falaq, and they'll indicate plus al, it becomes al-falaq. Well, let's see in word what that would look like in order for us to read it. Al-amru, al-basaru, al-jamalu, al-ibili, al-biladi, al-jibala, and therefore you could hear the sound of al clearly. Versus on the other hand, when you have the al just as in shams, it's going to go different because you're taking out the L sound and you're making the L sound pretty much silent. So let's see what it looks like. You're going to jump from here to the following letter. التفاح, الدب, الزهرة, الصاروخ, الظرف, الثعلب, الذنب or الذئب, السيارة, الضفدع. Notice that we're taking out the L sound and you're pretty much maintaining the other letter that's after it. Al-laymun. Now here, al-laymun, you're not really articulating this letter right here, but you're actually articulating the L after it. Al-rumman, al-shams, al-tayyara, al-nur. Now the other thing is that you could see compared to the one that we did earlier, at-ta, at-ti, at-tu. Notice that we're actually taking the L sound and what you're maintaining is pretty much the letter that's after it. At-ta, at-ti, at-tu. Not al-ta, al-ti, al-tu, but you're saying at-ta, at-ti, at-tu. And what you're doing is that all these letters that you see on the top right here, the ta, tha, da, tha, ra, za, sa, sha, sa, da, ta, dha, la, and na, all those letters, if they follow and they come after the L, they basically become those letters that will be sounded out, and the L is going to be gone. Al, atta, atti, attu, atha, athi, athu, adda, addi, addu, adha, adhi, adhu, arra, arri, arru, azza, azzi, azzu, assa, assi, assu, الشاء الشي الشو الصاء الصي الصو الضاء الضي الضوء الطاء الطي الطو الظاء الظي الظو اللا اللي اللو النا الني النو. So basically those you could hear that we did not articulate any of the L's and therefore it was absolutely gone. Now let's see in word what that looks like. Now in word you're gonna again take out the LB and they'll indicate it for you. Unlike the L for Al-Qamariya, remember when they actually put it for you in sukoon. Let's see. So here we go. Look at this. They put it for you with that indicating that Al-Qamariya, that they put it for you with the sukoon on top of the L. So in order for you to know that this is a clear sound, Al-Buyuta, Al-Junudi, etc. And versus in this one, they will take out the sukoon off the L and actually put you on the following letter. They'll put you this little tiny shadda right there. This upside down 3 is called shadda. So here we go. Let's see what it looks like. At-takathuru, at-thawabu, at-thawabu, ad-dahru, at-tijaratu, الثلث الثلث الدين الدين. Notice that we're totally taking out the L sound and we're going to be stressing on the one after it. التراث الثقال الدو الدعاء. Notice that we're eliminating the L sound and we're connecting the one after it. الذهب الرعد الزبد الذئب الريح الزينة and so forth. Now in the Quran they will actually indicate it for you in a clearer term, at least in the color coded one, and they'll actually make you that L sound in a situation where it is like a shams. Right here they'll take out the L, or at least they'll color it in gray, and they won't put a sukoon on top. So here we go, look at this, compare the ashamsu and al-jibalu. Look at the ashamsu, to indicate that this is a silent L, they indicated by coloring the L into gray and putting the letter sheen with a shadda. إذا الشمس كورت. And look at النجوم, same thing, where they colored the L. إذا النجوم إذا النجوم. They took out the L and at least colored it in gray, so therefore it doesn't seem so apparent, and then they're connecting it with the following letter. وَإِذَا النُّجُومُ. What did I do? You took out the L sound and you indicated or emphasized the following letter. Let's see with this al-jibalu. On the other hand, when you see إِذَا الْجِبَالُ, I'm connecting إِذَا you're connecting the and the L together because of this guy Hamzat al-Wasl. We're going to talk about him later on. We're going to talk about this Hamzat al-Wasl. This is called Hamzat al-Wasl. We're going to talk about it later. So now you could see إِذَا الْجِبَالُ. What am I doing? I'm emphasizing the L sound. Unlike in this word, النجوم, we're taking out the L sound. So al-jibalu, in we're emphasizing, and they indicated that for you by putting that sukoon on top. Same thing. Al-isharu indicated that L sound is a clear sound in where you have to read it with a clear L sound in where وَإِذَا الْعِشَارُ وَإِذَا الْعِشَارُ. And now let's move on. Al-wuhush, and see وَإِذَا الْوُحُوش. Either put that L sound clear, and simply because they put over it a sukoon. Look at إِذَا الْبِحَارُ إِذَا الْبِحَارُ. Let's see what إِذَا النُّفُوسُ إِذَا. What did I do? Took out the L sound and emphasized the letter that's after it. Let's see al-maw'uda وَإِذَا الْمَوْءُودَ. Notice here that again the ones that have the sukoon. Let's look at them. Al-jibalu, العشار الوحوش البحار الموءودة الجحيم الجنة. All right, now we could see بالخنس. Now we saw how all these, they have one same pattern in where there's a sukoon on the top of the L, and in practice we're actually making that sound read clearly. That L sound is not silent. Versus, let's look at the ones that are silent. I'm just going to use my little annotate here and indicate it. Ash-shamsu, an-nujumu, and let's move on, find some more. An-nufusu, and let's move on. As-suhufu, and as-sama'u. That's it. At least I hope I didn't lose any. All right, so you could see that all of them have the same thing in where there's a shadda on that letter and there's that gray L in order to help you identify that that L is pretty much gone. You could see it, see the difference? So you'll see that L sound is gone. So in practice, you're making three things different. In practice, in application, the L sound is gone, versus the L sound is not gone in the circle ones, right? And number two is that, so you've got, this is number one, all right? And number two is that you're going to have a shadda on the following letter. And number three, you've got a gray letter. Is that number one? All right, so in practice at least, you're not going to sound it out. Let's see this one. So in the other kind, in where you're going to have a sukoon, let's make that clear. Here we go. Number one, you're going to have a sukoon on the lam, and it's going to be black. So a black lam and with a sukoon, and you're not going to have a shadda here. So no shadda on the following letter is telling me that that L is not silent versus this L is silent. Pretty much easy and straightforward. Easy and straightforward. So let's move on and actually see in practice. We just did it, and in the Quran you'll often see it in that form. So any questions on what we're doing? And next week I guess we'll be covering Hamzat al-Wasl. Hopefully, inshallah, next week we'll be covering Hamzat al-Wasl. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Hamzat al-Wasl and Hamzat al-Qata. We'll be finishing that next week. And end of today's class, it was very simple. So to summarize it, it's basically the al-Shamsiyya and al-Qamariyya, and we just took some examples. This is the first lesson that children in elementary schools actually learn, the al-Qamariyya and al-Shamsiyya. All right, any questions before we end? Today's class was pretty straightforward, pretty short, and that's it. All right, assalamu alaikum everyone, and jazakumullah khairan, and jazakumullah khairan Fatima Zahra for attending. All right, assalamu alaikum.